so journals are helpful. But if you must write for class, don't wait till the night before it's due. This defeats the purpose. But purchase our tape, the authentically aged notebook paper.
So getting feedback from others, like your teacher friend, to get your initial ideas down on paper and get any thoughts that might go through that brain.
Collect information of some kind. Now, there's no exact time in the writing paper and the research.
Now we got a tip for you.
Collect information. You don't want to let your research write your paper for you. You want to incorporate the research into your place your words with the research. That would end research. Your paper will be good, and you'll get a better. So where do you find research?
Find research is in your school's library.
The library can be a really intimidating place. If you have any questions, there is almost...
I was overwhelmed by the... I felt like... My first thought was...
His temples like this.
She was...
It's just a something round.
There are lots of tools in the library for storm the library and taken over. It's absolutely essential. Next, we'll look at some things you need to consider.
First, before you should map out what kind of research
What kind of research you choose depends upon the assignment.
Some assignments, other assignments,
Regardless of the kind of research you're...
With the increased use of the information.
So the first thing to you.
The primary types of information are and mass magazines like Time and Newsweek, computer sources like internet web pages or emails. A third type is or surveys.
Now let's go in lots of places.
Like the library stand.
As we already still look on a computer to get them, but print sources appear in me. Most have their magazine and journal articles in.
There is another important thing to tick your source that you should ask of the source.
Here are some questions of your source. What is the data of research? Is it up, or does it still use an abacus?
Does the author have an extra data? Does the author argue his or her? These types of questions should be asked no study you're writing for.
One kind of research you can use. Another way to dig up info is with the computer, like web pages and ideas for writing.
If you use a computer to document it, check a style handbook to find document computer sources. We'll just go over a few general things you should think about sources.
First, computer tangible. You can't swat flies with them. It's a good idea to print out any information you're using.
Computer materials, as you do for any Joe Schmo can post an email message or create groups is suspect. So be careful
about who the source is. Who do they section everything the author says?
Looked at print and computer sources. Another search by doing interviews. Entire tape talking about conducting surveys and interviews.
Section C, outlining.
Okay, but you still have questions. What do you do with all these? Invented the donut hole, and free writing and researching about connect.
It's kind of like having a bunch of puzzle pieces without fit together.
I wish I had... And if you're confused about where your writing is going...
Well, you need to figure out how you can create an essay here. A typical method to figure out the structure and direction you want your paper to take.
One type of outline is clustered, not by where they appear in your paper.
Together. So how do you do it?
Start with the question your paper asks, or the topic, or you brainstorm ideas that connect you. These ideas are branches of your main idea. Branching as you think of things that connect until you write. Fun, you can add some spiders to your branch. Oh no!
Clustering is used without trying to force your ideas into a confined. Uses free write as a basis for his
Groups that form in high school and argue why those groups form.
Looking at his free write, we can see the kids are beautiful and that there are
These are the major subcategories of his main.
Inept. Those that are. When an idea, you just connect that thought to whatever idea.
Part of his main idea is to figure many groups form in high school. This can be another coming from this central focus.
We'll stop here. You can keep going with for as long as you have ideas throughout the writing process.
Cluster. You can group the main ideas from your class and prep all the ideas you have into clusters before writing.
Remember, all this pre-writing, like the free writes and outlines, keep from getting writer's block when you sit down to write your...
If you start to stall in your writing, you can
look at a linear outline. Most by where you think they will appear.
Thesis is at the top. Remember, this was the placed in the middle bubble of his cluster. Now we'll show you how to break one of these social groups into a linear outline. Let's outline
kids, the attractive group, and the smart Alex.
These social group, the popular kids.
further detail for each of these groups.
For popular kids.
Nathan would do this for every high school group. Now there are for one works best for you.
As we said, take you in. However, outline, since it gives them a more concrete in which they can write. They know where to begin, and your outline will constrain their thought process and force them to...
No matter what method you use, they're only intended to give you a direction as you begin writing your first rough draft.
Free writes and decided what our top search we're going to need for the assignment. We've a preliminary outline that has organized our thoughts and when we begin writing a rough draft.
Rough drafts.
Creating a rough draft, all those ideas you have into a shape that makes sense.
Tetri.
Now, when you sit down to attic,
You may find some full of chaos that's worth keeping.
That's why it's helpful to do live pre-writing. Pre-writing can keep anxiety attack when you start writing your rough draft. Pre-writing and outlining to create a work.
they'll just sit on your food.
On the other hand, working theses are 6 months.
Thesis is just a preliminary thesis. Give you a main idea to focus on as you begin your preliminary thesis is not going to work for parts of your paper. In high school, kids separate into different into groups and what groups they separate.
Using this preliminary thesis as a guide for the draft. And boy, did he. We're going to take a look at Nathan's first draft.
Stage, Nathan's still discovering much of what exploratory writing.
Come on, men. They're nouns to be plundered. Onward!
You want to write about and letting your ideas take you where they may. But this writing is a bit more structured and focused than free.
We'll call this first rough draft of Nathan's his draft. Remember, after a paper, you are organizing your thoughts into it, but you shouldn't let this hamper your writing. To get all of your thoughts down on paper and probe it for problems later. So let's talk about
Nathan's exploratory draft is just an elaboration from all of this pre-writing. His especially good in 2 areas: its great amount of detail and its clear organization.
Time into the process. Also note it, but it's often a good idea not to put specific quotes into your first draft.
Bunch of research stuck together.
The information Nathan can go better phrases after his first draft where he thinks they're needed.
How can you go back to the paper that you're probably...
Don't despair. It's not like you're... There are people out there who can help you. That's what we're going to...
Section E, getting feedback.
After you got it, you can meditate on what you've done. You can look around.
Of what you've written. You want yourself, what in the world was I thinking when I wrote that?
Considered writing is a bit more purposeful and controlled you came up with in free writing and exploratory writing. You need to think about things. Think about how someone else would look at your paper.
From a classmate, a teacher, or someone at the writing center. Getting feedback simply means having someone else respond to particular parts of your...
What do you think of my eyes? Thank you ever so much. How does your head stay so green? I rub broccoli all over it.
Now, many English composition require that you get feedback at certain times. Courses require you to get feedback on your assignments, to get feedback, and how to get good papers. Feedback is exactly what you need
With our readers as they read who, when,